Hello friends, you are watching the TWSBI, a channel where we discuss pens and writing, and I am Rudrashish Datta. Today I shall review an Indian original equipment manufacturer of fountain pens which is based out of Indore in Madhya Pradesh, a central Indian state, and which markets their products by the name of Click Pens. Currently in the third generation of a family run business, Click Pens have carved out a niche for itself in the fountain pen world by giving the proverbial power to the customer in a wide variety of nib sizes, materials, and all of this at a very affordable price. Today I shall look at their Click Falcon in full Ebonite make with a fine nib. The pen is in carbon black color. So friends, without any further delay, let us now look at the pen. Well friends, Click pens come in a packaging like these. There is an outward paper sleeve which contains this cardboard box with Click handcrafted pens written here. This is their logo, and at the other end we have this made in India branding. So this is the box which houses the pen. Let me keep the cover aside. Okay, so here we have a couple of paperwork from Click. This very proudly declares a million smiles and counting, handcrafted pens since 1978. And this is a brief introduction to their commitment to quality, and we have their contact details at the other end of the paper. And here we have a refill instruction of the fountain pen. It's a 3-in-1 filling mechanism which accommodates a converter, a cartridge, and the pen can also be used as an eyedropper. So let me keep this card aside and look at the box. So this is the actual box that houses the pen. Quite a fine packaging, I see. This is the pen. They have provided us with 2 cartridges which I will not be using for the writing sample, and a converter. I'll fill this up with ink when we take up this pen for the writing sample. So now let me keep it aside. I don't think we have anything else here, so let me keep it aside and look at the pen. So this is Click Falcon full Ebonite fountain pen. Interestingly, Click markets their pens as either full Ebonite for the entire section being crafted out of Ebonite, or a half Ebonite where a part of the pen is plastic and the other part Ebonite. So this is a full Ebonite pen, and it's marketed as a carbon black colored pen. And if we can focus it for you, we have Click mentioned on the cap at one end and India at the other end. Now this is very significant. We find Click with a very strong commitment to the ethos and pride of making the pens in India totally. So now let me look at the cap first. Well, the finial at this end has a rather composite metallic section containing a cone shaped finial and a clip. The clip is more on the flexible side, and there is a metal band at the edge of the cap, and this roughly is the cap. It's a no nonsense Ebonite make cap. With regard to the pen has a classic cigar shape, as we can see. This gripping section is rather smallish, but it won't be an issue for most writers. This is made of plastic. The actual section of the barrel is made of ebonite. So it's a rather longish thread, obviously, because this section can also be used as an eyedropper, where the entire barrel can be filled with ink and used. This part is naturally greased, so this is a barrel. The other end of the finial is flat with no marks whatsoever of any nature. So now let me look at the nib. I had ordered a fine nib. It's a gold plated steel nib. We'll see how much it flexes. And the ebonite is the feed is plastic. So we will see how the pen functions. On the nib we have the click branding, India, and then F for fine. So this roughly is the nib of the click Falcon full ebonite. So now we will ink up this pen. We'll be using this cartridge that they have supplied us with, and see how the pen fares in the fine nib version. Interestingly, this pen is available in 6 nib width variations: the extra fine, the fine, the medium, the broad, the double broad, and the flex. Since Click markets a separate flex variety of nibs, it is likely that the other nib sizes may not be amenable to flex writing. We will see it when we take the writing sample. So let me now fill this cartridge with ink and test the pen on paper. Well friends, I have inked up this pen with Colorverse Blue Black, and now we will be using this pen on a 70 GSM papered notebook to see how the pen fares in actual writing circumstances. So this pen is the Click Falcon in full ebonite with carbon black color. Well, this is a fine nib, but considering that this is a fine nib, I find that it is a wet writer. As you can see, it's a fairly wet writer. The downstrokes as well as the upstrokes are wet. And let me check its flex, if it offers any opportunity for nib width variations. No, it's fairly stiff, so there are no nib width variations that I can get out of this fine nib. This was expected since Click also has an option for a flex nib. It is likely that they won't be making flexible nibs with regard to the regular nib widths that they fit their pins with. So this is a wet writer and it's slightly thicker than fine. I would rather call it a fine medium and not exactly fine in terms of the usual amount of ink that fine nibs usually deliver on paper. So compared to that, so yes, this is a very wet writer, but it's very smooth. It writes without any feedback of any nature, just the hint of some form of a friction between the nib and the paper. So that is it. It's neither feedbacky nor scratchy. It's a very smooth writer, and the nib offers no nib width variations. So for those of you who may be expecting calligraphy style variations, might well go for the flex variety of the nibs, which Click separately fits into these pens and not on the regular nibs that Click supplies us with. So all in all, this is a very good writer. It has just the right length. The gripping section is just fine for me, and they have begun this section with a slight flare which narrows down slightly by half a millimeter or so, and then it gradually flares up to the threads, and then the barrel is broadest at this spot, after which it slightly tapers down to a classic cigar shape. So this is Click Falcon full Ebonite fountain pen in carbon black color. It is just right. We can obviously use it posted, but using the pen posted may have its obvious disadvantage of having a significant weight of the pen pushing in this part of the grip. So for most hands, the unposted pen's length would be sufficient to have a comfortable grip and control over the pen. So I would recommend it unposted. So this is Click Falcon in its fine nib version, and interestingly, Click also has an extra fine nib which I surmise may approximate a usual fine nib under ordinary writing circumstances. This F nib, which is fine, is more on the medium side than fine, as I find it both in terms of the nib width as well as in terms of the ink that is transferred to paper with each stroke. So all in all, this is a very it's an eminently favorable writer. It's comfortable to hold, to control, and to use in most papers that we usually encounter under daily writing circumstances. So this is the Click Falcon full Ebonite pen with a fine nib for you. I would recommend it any day as an everyday carry, both for students as well as for professionals with light, medium or heavy fountain pen use. So this is the pen for you. I hope you like the review, and I would also expect you to like, subscribe and share so that we can bring in more quality presentations on fountain pens to you. Thank you friends for watching. We'll be back with another review in a few days. Thank you once again.